Ready for our first case? Please introduce yourself, state your name and DOC number for the record.
Kenneth Sherrick, 239423.
When's your birthday, Kenneth?
7/19/57.
Okay, well, your number, that's not your right number. I don't know what number you spelled it off, but your number.
I got it. 238
Nope, that's not it either. It's 75831.
318.
All right. Kenneth Sherrick, DOC number 7583118. You're a second-class offender. Parole eligibility date 10/12/22/2021. Not eligible for good time. Full term 6/22/2025. 7-year sentence and indecent behavior with a juvenile. Does that sound correct?
Yes, sir.
All right, please answer, Mr. Marabella.
Good morning, Mr. Sherrick. How are you?
I'm fine, sir. Good morning.
How old are you, Mr. Sherrick?
66.
And how long have you been in prison on these charges?
5 years and 3 months approximately.
Tell me a little bit about your educational background. How far did you go in school?
I've got 2 years of college. I've graduated high school and went to college in Indiana for 2 years.
Looking at your record, you've got a pretty substantial arrest record. You had a cruelty to a juvenile back in 1993. What was that about?
You want the long story?
I just want you to tell me what happened.
I came home from work one day. My sons had gotten into a gun cabinet and fired 500 rounds of ammunition.
How old was your son?
My son was about 14 years old. I spanked him on the butt. I hit him 3 licks on his butt with a belt because he lied to me. He wouldn't tell me the truth. The next day, they sent a social worker and the police to the school, and he had a welt on his behind.
What you did, that's all right. 1996, you were charged with attempted murder and possession of controlled dangerous substance. What was that about?
I shot a tire on a car to keep somebody from following me. And they ended up.
2005, you were charged with attempted first-degree murder, attempted second-degree murder, and damage to property. What was that about?
That was I shot a gun into a trailer.
Okay, so tell me a little bit about what happened in this case. Tell me what you did to find yourself in jail right now.
I've learned about the crime that I committed.
Well, tell me what you did, then you can tell me what you learned.
I took advantage of a young girl.
Well, explain to me exactly what you did. You know, taking advantage of a young girl could be taking her doll away. What did you do?
No, sir. I touched her in a very inappropriate way in private area of her body.
And why did you do that?
Poor impulse control. I've never really thought about doing anything like that. I've never had a history of that. The situation arose and I acted on a thought.
How old was this little girl?
10 years old.
Now, you denied the allegations at first, said that they were lying, and actually, I think most of your discussions in your application suggest that they were lying because they wanted to get you out of the house. Why did you say all of those things?
I'm trying to look out for myself. I mean, I was just, trying to find the easiest way out.
So what programs have you taken while you've been in prison? Have you taken the sex offender treatment?
Yes, sir, I have.
Tell me what you learned in those programs.
I've learned a great deal about the crime that I committed and the impact it has on victim and her family. And
what's the impact?
Pardon me?
What is the impact that it has on the victim and her family?
Well, I obviously haven't had any contact with the victim and her family. I hope that she has no long-term effects from it. I think.
Well, you didn't learn in sex offender treatment specifically about your case. You learned generally what happens to victims when they get molested or get raped or get attacked in some way. What did you learn that happens to victims, generally speaking, when something like this happens to a young girl, 10 years old, who gets molested by a 60-something-year-old man? What do you think that does to her?
Well, I hope and pray that the victim can, that doesn't suffer any serious long-term effects from it. I certainly would not like to believe that I affected somebody's life in a detrimental way over a long period of time.
Have you ever done drugs or alcohol, drank alcohol?
I experimented with some drugs and alcohol when I was quite young. Drugs and alcohol have just never been something for me.
So you weren't on drugs or alcohol when this happened?
No.
So how have you changed? What have you learned since you've been in prison about this? Why should I vote to let you out early?
Well, I've learned about the crime that I committed. I've learned about the effects that it can have.
Crime that you committed. I mean, you didn't realize that was a crime before?
I didn't think about it at that time. I've learned it about my risk factors, and that it was, I've always suffered from what I would call poor impulse control, even in verbal things. I've gotten in arguments with people in the past. I've learned to let a lot of things roll off me that used to bother me, and pay attention to not allowing myself to be a victim of poor impulse control.
Where are you going to be living if you get out?
I've got opportunity to live on 3 acres of land just across the Mason River in Franklin Parish in a mobile home.
Has that been approved? Is that there's certain places that you won't be able to live as a sex offender. Is that an approved residence?
It should be. There's no children living anywhere around there. It's unoccupied at this time. There's no schools or anything like that in that area.
In the last 5.5 years that you've been in prison, what do you think has been the most important programs that you've taken, and what have you learned from this?
I think all the programs I've taken have been important to me, and I think I've learned a great deal about myself.
What have you learned about yourself?
I've learned that, again, without repeating myself, too much to you, I've suffered from poor impulse control. I've always been a person that reacted and then thought about things, and that's one of the main things I've learned is to consider, to slow down, and that there's alternative choices. Everything I do is a choice, and instead of just reacting to something, I've learned to stop and think about things, and think about how my actions affect other people and affect the world around me and affect myself also.
Now, this victim was your son's, her mother was your son's girlfriend. Are they still together, do you know?
I do not know, sir.
Have you had any contact with your son?
I have not.
Do you have any family support? Who will you be living with on this acreage you have?
I'll be living by myself.
Do you have any family out? Do you have any family support?
Unfortunately, I haven't heard from either of my sons since 2019, and the majority of my other family members have passed away. I've lost a brother and a sister since I've been incarcerated. So I really don't have any family members out there any longer.
Is there anyone there with you that might be able to tell us a little bit about how you're doing now?
Yes, sir. There's 2 deputies in here with me. They both know me.
Okay, see if they've got any information they can share with us.
Would one of you gentlemen tell this man about how I behave and act as I've been here.
Hello, this is Sergeant Sisk, FPDC.
What
Yeah.
can you tell us about Mr. Sherrick?
Every time I see Ken, he's working. You know, he's got a trustee job out back. Quite a few times I have go back there, have my vehicle detailed or cleaned, and every time I come across him back there, he's working doing something. He's got some apron on, and I mean, well, I ain't never had any problems out of him. You know, we can laugh and talk and joke and make the best of the dark place that it is here that we see and what we deal with every day. And we, like I said, we had never had any issues with him. I haven't, and he's been in the trustee dorm for quite some time now. He's got his job back there on the maintenance crew, and he hangs out and does what he's told and does no real problems out of him.
Good. Thank you very much. That's all.
All right, you want to speak back with him or?
Get back to him. Yeah. Mhm.
Okay, all right.
Thank you.
All right, Kenneth, would you like to make a statement on your behalf?
I really like the opportunity to rejoin Free Life. I think I've learned a great deal since I've been incarcerated. I can tell you, and I know there's no such thing as 0%, but it's right next to 0% that I'll ever reoffend. Being 66 years old, I was looking forward to my retirement, my pension, and growing tomatoes and maybe raising a dog and doing a little fishing and having a pretty yard to come home to and just enjoying the rest of my life, trouble-free.
All right, thank you. Thank you for your comment. Panel prepared to vote?
Yes.
Mr. Marabella?
Mr. Sherrick, you were charged with some very serious offenses and they were reduced to allow you to plead guilty to take a 7-year sentence. I'm not really sure that you really comprehend the significance of what you've done to this young girl. You've taken some good programs. You've done some good things while you've been in prison. I think you got a good break when you got your sentence. So my vote today is to deny you and let you finish out your sentence. And hopefully maybe you can come to grips a little bit of what you really did to that little girl. That's my vote.
All right, Mr. Freeman?
I agree. My vote is to deny.
All right, 2 votes to deny. I'm also going to vote to deny for the same reasons. You have law enforcement opposition is nature of the crime. And you still need to do a little time and figure that out. 3 votes to deny. Today, your parole's been denied. We'll adjourn at Franklin Parish at 10:38. Thank you.